I bet this is somebody calling from Portugal.
Hello, Abe.
How are you in Portugal tonight?
I'm fine. Great weather. Really nice.
Well, this is
all right.
Andre Dahl. Am I pronouncing your name right, Andre?
Yeah, Andre Dahl. That's all right, yeah.
And you have the distinction of being one of the few purveyors of bluegrass music in Portugal, which is not an area known for bluegrass, but you're obviously doing very well and this is a good example, listeners, when you have some good music and you reach out to me on the Facebook page or however, I can't remember how you reached out, but Andre came to me on his own accord, and I really liked his music, and I thought, hey, this is a guy that deserves to be heard. He's doing bluegrass music in Portugal, and he's been doing it for a long time. He's an expert banjoist, and here he is calling in from Portugal, where I think it's 10:30 at night, right?
Yeah, 10:30. Yeah, that's right.
So, are you drinking an espresso to stay awake?
No, I don't need it. I play the banjo. So.
Oh, that'll keep you awake, because if you were,
yeah.
How another way to stay awake is by playing the accordion.
Yeah. Well, the banjo is enough for me.
Well, you've got this really phenomenal album. It's called Beyond the Tagus. Is it Tagus River? Am I pronouncing that right?
Yeah. Beyond the Tagus River.
And and the Tagus River, is that in Portugal?
Yeah, the Tagus River is a river that it borns in Spain and crosses Spain into Portugal, and it just gets to the sea in the city of Lisbon. So it's right here.
Oh, it goes right through the city.
Yeah. Well, it's one side is Lisbon, the other side is another city, a smaller city. Yeah, but it's right there on the city.
I'm excited to have you on the show for another reason, in addition to music, is that it's unusual to have someone that speaks Portuguese. The other people that speak Portuguese are mostly from Brazil, and I've had a handful of Brazilian artists doing bossa nova and other kinds of things. And but it's nice to have some. You're my first guest from Portugal. I think I've had guests from almost every country in Europe, but not Portugal. This is the first one.
Wow. Well, I feel honored to be here. So it's a great privilege for me to be on your show.
Oh, you're so welcome. And is the band that's backing you on this? Is it Stone Bones and Bad Spaghetti?
Yeah. I mean, I started playing the banjo more than 20 years ago. And for the first, 10 to 15 years, I mostly played by myself. I was what you call like a bedroom player. And then a guy showed up where I work, and we started. He was really excited about the banjo. We started, the band together, and we named ourselves Stone Bones and Bad Spaghetti because it is a free translation of a couple of places close to Lisbon. So if you translate it to Portuguese, those are the name of the places. So
Stone Bones and Bad Spaghetti. Well, that's a great name. Let's start off with this is the first cut on the album. This is an original Andre Dahl composition. It's called Road to the East, here on The Rock. Andre Dahl, Road to the East from Beyond the Tagus River, his newest release on, where can they get the CD, Andre? Do they go to your website?
Well, yeah, you have to reach out to me. I have a Facebook page, and if you send me a message, the name is Andre Dahl, and I can send a CD back.
Yes,
so
it's
I don't have it for sale on any place on the internet, but you can reach out to me.
Well, that's even better, because then you can get a signed copy. So that's facebook.com/andre.dal. On ANDRE.DAL. That's the best way to reach him. And you're also on Instagram, and that's andre.lentihas, Lentihas.
Yeah, it's a funny story because that's actually my real name. It's André Lentilhas, and lentilhas means lentils. So that's my
Really?
my name. Yeah, but it's very hard to say the name in English, so I changed it
I don't know.
to Dahl, which
Lentihas, that's easy.
Yeah. Well, I changed it to Dahl because it's a Hindi name for lentils, and my wife is from Goa, so it made sense. It was like it's a musician's name, I guess.
You might think this is funny, but I've been really excited to talk to you because I'm a foodie. I like all kinds of food, and I camp. I go camping with some friends. We haven't camped in 2 years because of this damn corona, COVID and what have you. But one of the things that we love to do is we set up these gigantic paella pans. They're about 4 feet, three feet wide. I don't know what that is in metric, but they're very large paella pans. And we cook seafood paella with rice and all the other things. So what is your favorite food in Portugal? Is it paella?
Well, paella is most common in Spain.
In Spain.
Right?
Okay, so
but
what?
Portugal is very diverse in terms of food. And where I come from is from the other side of the river, of the Tagus River, and that's why I called the album Beyond the Tagus River, because it was like, a memoir to my parents and where they were born, which is south of Portugal. And they have a lot of lamb there, so any dish with lamb is my kind of favorite, But I also like Indian food because my wife is from Goa, and we have a Goan restaurant. So the Goan food is a mixture between Portuguese and Indian food, and it's very, very good. So.
Can you spell where she's from? The area where she's from? Is it with a G?
Yeah, Goa is a G-O-A.
Oh, Goa. Okay, I'm not familiar with that.
Goa.
Is that South India?
Yeah, it's a state in India that used to be Portuguese until 1961.
Really?
So everyone who was born before 1961, they were Portuguese. And when India took over, a lot of Goans ran away, and a lot of Goans came to Portugal because they will prefer being Portuguese than Indian. So her parents were those kind of people, and they left Goa and came to Portugal, I don't know, in 61, actually, yeah.
Wow, that's a history I am not familiar with at all. Thank you for educating us. That's really interesting. And on this record, in addition to yourself, wow, there's just there's a lot of different people on this record. Like in this first track, well, this is the thing. You recorded this album with 16 other musicians who recorded their parts remotely from across 10 countries. Now, how did you find all these people?
Well, I met all of them. I mean, I've been going to bluegrass festivals in Europe since 2007. And, bluegrass music, it becomes like a large family when you go to these festivals and everyone meets once a year. And it's like we've been friends forever. So through the years, I've met a lot of great guys, great musicians. And I always wanted to do an album, mostly to show, the Portuguese people what bluegrass music is all about. But because there's not a lot of bluegrass musicians in Portugal, there are very, very few, I had to ask friends that I met, at those festivals. And, I addressed them, and I called them, and I said, I want to do an album. There were, a a lot of some couldn't make it. More other people. There was just too many people to invite to. So, but I called these other 15 friends, and they said yes, we're going to do it for sure. And the album is out there because of them also.
Well, that's great. And I also noticed that you are an admirer of Tony Trischka, Bela Fleck, of course, Earl Scruggs. I have this short story about Tony Trischka, and I've seen Bela Fleck in various bands, mostly quartet or quintet or even larger. But I'll never forget, this was about 12 years ago, Tony Trischka came to San Luis Obispo, and he had I think it was a 4-string banjo. It looked like a really ancient old banjo. Okay. And this was inside a very high-ceilinged church with wooden walls, and I was amazed because he got up there in front of the audience. There was no microphone. There was a stool, him, and the banjo. And I was thinking, oh, this is going to suck because there's no mic. How are we going to hear him? I guess it was a pretty big room. You could hear a pin drop. He filled that room with that banjo. Yeah. He was so amazing. And I really had a completely different appreciation of the banjo after that performance. And so I've always been a fan of bluegrass music. I was a radio DJ back in the late 70s in Hartford, Connecticut. I had a show called Bluegrass with the Ethnic Cowboy.
Oh.
But on this track, the last one we heard, you had Gil Pereira on the upright bass. You had Bob Hamilton on guitar from the United States. Gil is from Portugal, right?
Portugal, yeah. He's the bass player. Because when I started the project, I needed, I did it remotely, but I couldn't send just the banjo to the other musicians. So I had to have the bass player done, the bass lines done first.
Right.
So he's the Portuguese guy that plays in my band, the Stone Bones and Bad Spaghetti, and he helped me do all the mixer and everything. And so he's Portuguese, and the other everyone else is not Portuguese. So like Bob Hamilton is American, and
you've got Dave Baghdadi from the United States who played mandolin on that track, and then let's see who else was on that track. Anybody else?
Hiroan Smokel is a excellent dobro player from Amsterdam, from Holland, and also I think Mid Richter. He's American as well, a fiddle player. He's really, really good. Really good fiddle player.
Wow, I'm not familiar with him. This is a really great project. So I think I'd like to play, this is, there's a mix of covers and interpretations. This one is a David Grisman tune called Eat My Dust. This is Andre Dahl on the Rock. That's right. You're tuned into 97.3 and 107.9 The Rock. Have no fear. This is still Tuesday Lunch with Abe. That's right. You don't hear very much bluegrass here, but I had to make an exception with Andre Dahl and Beyond the Tagus River. This is really a fine, fine album. And we just heard Eat My Dust, a David Grisman original. And one of the things that really struck me about the record, Andre, is that you were diagnosed back in 2010 with focal hand dystonia, and this condition had a major impact on your playing. And you've changed your playing physically, and you've been able to keep going, but it's very challenging. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I was feeling awkward, when I was playing the banjo back in 2009, and I could see that I needed a lot of time to get warm and to play well. And I read something about focal hand dystonia, and I went to this neurologist guy, and he told me, I did some, that brain
a scan.
Scan, and he told me that, you have focal hand dystonia. So I was really upset about it because I couldn't play anymore. And I saw a dobro player in Holland, Bluegrass Festival in Holland, playing dobro, which you play with the same fingers as a banjo. But he was playing dobro with the thumb, middle, and the ring finger. And I said, why can't I try that? So I tried it, and the minute I tried it, I was feeling better. So I've started playing with thumb, middle, and ring fingers, and I was using a device to stretch out my index finger because the index finger was the finger that was really affected by focal hand dystonia, and it was like curving too much into the palm of my hand. So, but I knew that, this is a neurologist disease, and I knew that it would grow eventually with time, and it did. I mean, for the past 10 years, I changed, back and forth between, thumb, index, and middle, or thumb, middle, and ring fingers, because it's just the fingers, get used to the position, and the focal hand dystonia kicks in, So there's some parts of the, lately I was feeling worse, and now I change fingers again. So, yeah, it's a challenge, and it's one of the reasons I tried to do the album. I was really, into it to do the album because I don't know when it's going to end, So it's always like a new day the next day.
That is a great attitude, a great way of looking at it. I'm just curious, have you ever thought of treating what you've got with cannabis?
I mean, one of the ways to treat it is with Botox injections, which just what they do is like you put the finger a little bit numb,
Yes.
So that way you could play without forcing it too much. And I did injections on my finger, not Botox, but other kinds of injections. And what it worked for me was really, trying to have the hand a little bit more comfortable. Always using these devices to stop, to prevent the fingers from bending too much.
Right.
I don't know. I might try it.
Well,
I haven't yet.
The reason I'm mentioning that because cannabis has a receptor in the brain. When you use it, and I'm talking CBD, and there's this other type of cannabis. It's called CBG with a like girl. Okay. CBD and CBG. If you get those two things, they might help you. I'm just telling you this because I've heard of other people having some success with that. I also wanted to mention there are so many people on this record. You've got Gil Pereira on upright bass from Portugal. You got Bob Hamilton from the U.S. on guitar. Chris Luquette from the U.S. on guitar. Ruben Agnew from where is NIR on guitar? Where is that?
It's Northern Ireland.
Oh, Northern Ireland. And then you've got Dave Baghdadi from the U.S. on mandolin. Jeff Carday from Canada on mandolin. Jean-Michel Pache, perhaps, on mandolin.
Jean-Michel Pache.
And where is he from? CH. What's CH?
Switzerland.
Switzerland is CH? Wow. And then
Yeah.
Katsuhiro Narita from Japan on mandolin. I hear they're really huge into bluegrass in Japan.
Yeah.
And then you've got Daniel Olsen from Sweden on dobro, Jeroen Schmoll on dobro from the Netherlands, Olivier Oldry from
Excellent.
Switzerland again on dobro, Charlotte Salemakers on fiddle. Where is she from?
It's from Belgium.
Belgium, okay. And then from Germany, Yoon La Camp on the fiddle. From Netherlands, Joram Peters on fiddle. And then from the U.S., Mead Richter on the fiddle. And mixing and mastering, Jason Borisoff. And a great job on this record. So again, listeners, when you're listening, if you want to check out the record and you want to actually get a physical CD, because it comes with this really great booklet that describes all the different players. And let's see, October's Hornpipe. This is another original by Andre Dahl. It's Tuesday Lunch here on The Rock. It's 1 minute and 13 seconds past the hour. This is KEBF Morro Bay, KZSR Paso Robles. And what do you know? We're your listener-supported community radio for the California Central Coast, which means you are the support in listener support. If you go to our lovely, fun-to-navigate webpage, centralcoastradio.org, you will find not only a donate button, which is nice, because the more you push that and the more you donate, the more we appreciate you. Because I can tell you right now, we've got a couple of CD players that need to be replaced. These, they're just the steam engine that's making them go in the back. It's starting to run out. I've got to put more wood in the thing. But otherwise, we have electricity, we have our streaming costs, we have our licensing. There's so many things that it takes to run a radio station, plus the gold paint that's gilded around the room. We've got to keep that going. And the chrome chairs, they've got to be all chrome. No, I'm just kidding. You know I'm kidding. We really do need your help. Please go to centralcoastradio.org and donate today. And while you're at it, go to Facebook and type in Tuesday Lunch with Abe, click the like button, and then you'll know what's going to be on every week before the show. I usually post on Mondays, because I usually don't know who's going to be on until the Monday before the show. Andre Dahl, who is calling in from Portugal at the moment. Where exactly? Are you near Lisbon?
Yeah. It's like 10 kilometers away from Lisbon.
What do you do where you live aside from music? What are the most fun things to do there?
Oh, well, Lisbon is a very fun city. You have the river, so you can go sail on the river. And it's a hilly city, so you can ride the bike up and down. Mm-hmm. And it's very touristic. Places close to Lisbon, like Sintra is very famous, this World Heritage place. You have, Sintra Mountain as well, and the other side of the river. Beautiful, places to go to the sea, beaches and everything. So it's very nice.
And you've got some really nice museums, from what I remember.
Yeah. A lot of great stuff, stuff to see.
And you've got a little boy, right?
Yeah, I have. He's just made 13 years old now.
Is he playing music yet?
Well, he's more into acting. Actually.
Oh yeah.
He likes to. When he was little, he was going on stage. He didn't play anything, but it was like just performing with a small ukulele or a small fiddle. He was just performing and copying everything that the other musicians were doing, like their positions and everything. So he's more into acting.
Well, maybe you should get him to act by playing some music on your next record.
Yeah.
Well, here's the title track to your new album, Beyond the Tagus River. This is Andre Dahl here on The Rock. That is a fine, fine, fine version of Lady Be Good by George Gershwin, performed by Andre Dahl. And before that, we heard Beyond the Tagus River, an original by Andre Dahl. And Andre has been talking to me from near Lisbon, Portugal. And we're going to wrap this up by saying that if you want to get the CD, and I highly recommend it because it has a great booklet that explains who all these 16 players are, you would go to facebook.com/andre.dahl, D-A-L. And if you want to download the record, where do they go?
Yeah, you can download it from Apple, Amazon, most of all platforms on the internet. You can do it,
Very good.
Yeah, but the booklet, you only get it if you get the CD, the physical CD, of course.
It's well worth it. It's worth the price of admission. And then Andre will probably sign it for you, which would be a nice thing. And I wish you all the best with your physical issues. I know it's a common thing for musicians to have carpal tunnel syndrome and things of that nature when you're constantly playing. But, there are holistic methods, and I'm hoping that they'll work for you. And changing the position really works. I mean, I've never heard of anybody doing that. Usually when you get used to it doing one way, you can't do it another way. But I'm glad to hear that you were able to do that. And thank you so much, Andre. It was a pleasure having you on the show.
Yeah, it was a pleasure for me, too. It was great. Thank you so much for having me.
And we're going to end with Bill Monroe's Rawhide, which I was, I did a bluegrass show back in the 70s. I played Bill Monroe like crazy. I loved his playing. And never got to see him, but thank you again, and I'll be looking forward to your next album, Andre Dahl.
Thank you so much. Thank you.